Hello and welcome to another session of the Change Exchange. And once again, we have a very special guest, Leandie du Randt Bosch, and she says the Bosch is now 3 years old and very happily so.
Yeah, thanks.
Actress, entrepreneur, MC, you do whatever comes your way.
We have to hustle. We have to make it work. Yeah, I have many hats that I like to switch around.
But you started out studying industrial psychology and a very successful student, cum laude.
Oh, yeah, like a yes. I'm what we call a pluggie in Afrikaans.
The head girl type.
Yes. But I think I enjoyed what I studied. That's why maybe I did well in it.
So how did the acting come into the picture?
It's actually a beautiful story. So I always wanted to do drama, and since I was little, my mom used to film me singing, dancing, presenting in front of a fake crowd, camera crew following me around. It's so funny to watch all that footage. I'm so grateful for it because I realized in retrospect that she made me so comfortable in front of a camera that once I became an actress, whatever, it was never weird to have a camera in front of me because that's a fear or something you have to get used to once you start doing TV work. But my dad didn't want me to go study drama because he said it's not secure enough, and he's right. But he said I can always pursue it, but he first wants me to just see what other interests I have. And I really love people. I love the human psyche. I love working with people. That's why I also do motivational talks. And so I decided I wanted to do industrial psychology. And I went to study it at UJ. Specifically because there's so many agencies in Joburg. So I thought while I'm studying, and I lived in Res at UJ, I can just go for like auditions and maybe see I do like an ad here or there, just to get into the industry. And then in my first year, I had to do the beauty pageant for the Res. And that night, I won Miss Personality. And the judge that evening was Brumilda van Rensburg. She's a very well-known Afrikaans actress. And she decided at the beginning of the night, we didn't know, but she told the haka that whoever won Mr. and Mrs. Personality will get to do her drama course for free. And so that was the prize. I won that night. Her drama course was literally 2 kilometers from the Res where I stayed every Saturday. So I went to do that part-time while I was studying.
And how did you experience that? Did it feel right? Did it feel 100%.
Like I was
this is something I can do?
Divine intervention. I'm like, this is the place of God's will. This is what I wanted, know?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have gone to UJ if a friend that was there before me didn't tell me about this. So God put everything in place so that this whole thing just like synchronized, So I was like, I have to do this. I have to, while I study, do this. But then I got a role in Getroud met Rugby. It's a soap now, but it used to be a series. Yes,
but you must tell the story about the audition first.
Yes, I will. I will tell that. But in doing this Getroud met Rugby, I got it through Brumilda van Rensburg. One of the actresses that I became friends with, she gave me advice and she actually made me finish my studies and not give it up now just because I got a first role. And I think that was a big change moment for me in my life.
Was that in your first year? So that it was quite early on.
My second year.
Your second year.
I was turning 20, 2008. I was doing the first season of Getroud. We were sitting next, I was second year studying, and I was getting busy with the acting. So I was like, maybe I shouldn't study anymore. And I remember her name is Hannah Grobler. She's got an amazing charity, Hannah Charity Empowerment Foundation. She does great work. She was sitting next to me and she said, my maat, jy moet nie net 'n aktrise wees nie. She said, you shouldn't just be an actress. I think acting must be your hobby. You are very talented, and I think the fact that you are studying, it's a good thing. You must finish, and you must make sure that you have many options. You must never become a desperate actress. I don't think that's what God wants for you. So try and see how many different passions you have and use it and see which one comes to life and ask God to show you your calling and all your different callings or gifts that you have. And something that day just resonated with me. And it gave me that extra push. No, I will finish my studies. I will try and make this work so that I have different options. Because I didn't want to be a desperate actress.
But later on, you had the opportunity to work full-time as a soapy actress in Binnenlanders.
Yes.
And you decided not to do that.
Yes, it's so weird because as an actress and after I studied, I had to give up acting for a year. I'm going to answer you now, but it's part of the story. After I did my honors, I had to give up acting for a year because I had to go do my internship to get registered with the HPCSA. And the only way I could do that is by doing an internship full time. So I had to put it on side for a year, and I was scared that I'm going to lose out of the acting industry. But after the internship and I got registered, then I had to decide, do I want to act? Do I want to go into industrial psychology? What do I want to do? And oh my God, you have to show me. And then I decided I'm going to go for the acting.
Do want?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've got my degree now. I've got my qualification. I can always go back. Let me try the acting again. And I was sitting at home. I was dating a guy back then. He went to work every day. I didn't get auditions. I didn't get work. I started getting depressed. And then I started writing my book for teenage girls. And I started writing everything that I felt. Because then I was 24 at that stage. I started writing everything down that I was struggling with. All the stuff that I've learned in the past 6 years, going from from teenager to adolescent. Struggling what job to do, what industry to go in. And with the knowledge that I had from my degree, I just started formulating this self-help book. And in 8 months, he helped me because I didn't have a job. I went for auditions, didn't get it. I went for soapy auditions, one after the other, didn't get it. And eventually after 8 months, I had time and I wrote this book and I finished it. And so I just sent it to like 12 publishers. And thank God 3 came back to me, and that's where Straight Lifestyle published with them. And then straight after that, I got an audition. So it showed me that I had to be forced to not work and sit down to write this book. And then
when you set out to write, did you see it as a book, or was it just something to keep you busy?
I did write it as a book. I did write it as a book, but as a guide to help teenagers that go through struggles with what I went through.
Did you get, you say that 3 publishers came back to you, but all the others sent no thank you.
They said no thank you. Yeah.
And how did you react to that?
As an actress, I'm used to rejection. That's the one thing I have to say. Being an actress, it has taught me to cope with rejection in immense ways. Like, I'm truly grateful for that, to not take it personally and to always know that where a door closes, there's a reason you're getting steered in a different direction. Believing in God, for me, that gives me security because I know He's putting me in a different direction where I need to go. I just have to keep faith.
And how does that play out? I understand the thought process, but how do you make your decisions? Do you sit under a tree and meditate or pray? Or do you talk to 17 different people?
Yes. Being an extrovert, I like talking to a lot of people. That's how I make decisions. To get different opinions. I know introverts like to just make decisions by themselves, but I have like 5 people, my counsel, I call them my counsel, who I will ask for advice before I make a decision. But in the end, you always know what you want to do, eh? I believe we always know what we want to do. And I just sit and I ask God to give me peace about a decision. If I don't have peace, I shouldn't make it. That's one thing I've learned through experience. That if you keep on wondering, did I make the right decision? You didn't make the right decision. Because why would you feel that? One of my friend's moms taught me that a while ago, and that made so much sense. Every time I know I've made the wrong decision, I knew actually I made the wrong decision as I was making it.
So when you started acting, once again, did this feel like, yes, this is where I want to be now?
Yes, it felt like that because I finished my degree. So I always felt I had like the safety net. And that gave me the confidence to keep pushing, to be okay, to know that even though I don't get work in 6 months, it's okay. I have this thing to fall back on. But then in retrospect, looking back now, maybe I should have studied my degree because that's how I could write my book.
Yeah.
Because people won't buy my book if I don't have the degree, the knowledge of psychology and all that stuff to back. And a lot of the stuff I did put in my self-help book, I did learn through my degree, how our brain works, how psyche works, our developmental phases, all that stuff. And the book helped me initially to do motivational talks because now I have something to show and now I can go out to the people and talk to them about it. But also then I got a soap a year after that. Sorry, I'm just like, whoa, my life's like this.
Fine.
Eventually after the 4th rejection at specifically Binnenlanders, I was rejected by other soaps many times, but then Binnenlanders, the 4th time I auditioned there, I got the spot. And I was there for a year and a half. And it was in 2014. That was the scariest, craziest year of my life. My saddest year and my best year. And that's when I started with Binnenlanders. And that gave me a platform also where a lot of people wanted to hear me speak then. Because now more people were aware of me and who I was. Even though I was acting before it, You know, in the industry, they say you're never an actress until you win a soap. Sadly, but true. So
Suddenly,
then finally some people
yeah,
started recognizing
you
me.
you had the profile.
Yes, and that gave me a platform to go out and do my motivational talks that I still do, and that's very fulfilling for me.
So why did you decide to give up that security? Because for an actress, it's always a choice.
Yes.
Either the security of a job that keeps you completely busy for 12 hours a day.
Yeah, and you know you get a salary and you know you'll be fine.
Or
the
the freedom, but the complete insecurity.
Yes. And it's crazy because I am someone that actually needs security. It's one of my biggest values. But I'm also very creative and I like variation. I get bored very easily. And being in a soap for longer than a year, I started realizing that I needed a different creative outlet and I had all these ideas. But being full-time in a soap, I didn't have the time to do it. And they don't always allow you to do it because you're their property while you're there, basically. And it should be like that. I think it's great. But I was young and I had all these ideas. So I spoke to the main lady at Binnenlanders and I shared my heart with her. And I said, I wanted to do this movie. I got this opportunity. I want to start this business. Please don't kill me in the soap. I just needed a little bit of a break just to go and explore while I'm young. I don't have kids, while I have the freedom to do it. And she understood my heart and she said, go, Leandie, go, come back when you're ready. She's an amazing woman, Alsha. Thank you so much for her and the opportunity she gives, you know.
Her husband gave me my first opportunity on television.
No, Friedrich. No way. Yeah. Bless his soul. So and then she allowed me to go and that's been almost 4 years now since I left. And it's amazing how then I started doing other things. But then I also realized to get that security, I had to do many things. So that fear of not having the security drove me to create my clothing line, this new online business that I have with the gift boxes, the wine that I did now with Hermanus Pietersfontein, my talks, another book that I'm working on. So that forces me to think of constant things so that I have many streams of income. So that if the one doesn't do that well, I have the other one to fall back on.
So is that your advice to people who want to get into this industry?
I would really say that. Because a lot of moms at my talks, they ask me, what must I do? My child really wants to study, but I'm so scared she's not going to have a job. And I understand that it's a realistic fear to have, and it is a problem because in the acting, unfortunately, yes, you can write your own movie and create your own job, but it doesn't always, it's not that easy. So you are, unfortunately, you're so dependent on other people to give you a job, you know. So I would say always allow your kids to go do what their heart's desire is. There's a reason why it's there. But always have a backup plan. Always have a backup plan. See what your other interests are. Try and see how many different skills you can acquire because it can only help you in different ways. See how you can have you're more than one hat. Like at least two.
A friend of ours used to say, have the penny and the bun.
Yes, that's nice. I like that.
So how do you experience being an entrepreneur and running a business? The clothing line, Squinma.
Yes, this is one of our items. The reason why it's called Squinma is my mother-in-law retired 2 years ago. And she was like, what am I going to do with my time? And my mom used to make clothes. And I used to think it's so lame to make your own clothes. You know, our kids are, we're like, ugh, it's lame. But then I started liking all these vintage styles and the thrift styles, the secondhand styles. And I saw all my mom's patterns she left for me when she passed. And I decided, what if I just give my mother-in-law a few things to make? And I started liking it. We started creating stuff and people started giving me compliments. And with a lot of friends' advice and motivation, I eventually decided, let's do it. So that's why I call it Squinma, because it's got that vintage retro touch from your Squinma was my outdates. But also the more part to bring honor to my late mother's legacy. So now it's become a household name. Now it's Squinma, and we have for little kids it's Squin Sissy, and for the pregnant ladies who want to do Squin Mama.
But how do you experience being the boss? You now have to run this thing.
Yes. So it's just my brand, and I love that. I love being in charge of something. I have the call. I say no. I say yes. But then what happened is we started growing so much. So I used CMTs, but then 4 months ago I decided, no, I'm going to start my own factory. I'm going to get all these seamstresses, get all the machines, put them up, give them salaries. And I started realizing that was not the right decision. So the past 3 months, as I'm actually sitting in front of you, this will be the last day that they're working at my factory. I have to close it down. I couldn't.
Retrenchment's hard,
Yeah,
yeah?
so hard. That was the hardest week after my mother's death this week to tell these people that it's not working for me. Unfortunately, I'm not good at managing a space, managing a factory. I couldn't sleep at night. I'm still recovering now from a flu. My body just started giving in. It was too much stress. Not with all the other stuff I have going on. I think I would have made it work if that was the only thing, but I couldn't manage that and people and all the other stuff, all the other hats that I had to put on.
So the advice there is find your strength and play to that and build up a team that will do the other things.
It for you.
Yeah.
And to not always have too many balls in the air, really decide what ball am I good at juggling, where does my strengths lie, and to not want to go too big too soon, to first get the stuff ready in place, take the baby steps. There's a reason why stuff takes a natural growth and why they say transformation shouldn't be in such big leaps, especially in the book Good to Great by Jim Collins. It's a beautiful business book. I would really tell any entrepreneur to go read. He says big transformations that happen suddenly never work. They announce it and they say we all of a sudden have this company. Well, it never works. But when you do it suddenly and it goes step by step over like a course of 5 to 10 years rather than quickly, that's when it's lasting. That's when it goes from good to great. And I really learned that by trying to go too big. Too quickly.
Yeah. And tell me about the To Be gift boxes. How did that happen?
Sure. So me and my sister, we were sitting, chatting one day, and she said she heard over the radio today, this was last year, 2018, there was 140,000 brides in South Africa in 2017. 140,000. She's like, who buys gifts for all these brides? Where do they get all these gifts? Imagine all the bridesmaids, and we were like, oh, we have to get gifts for them, and we decided, let's do this. And me already being familiar with the online shop, having Squinmore for 2 years, she's like, no, let's do this. Let's think of it. And we have this one friend, Marianne, that's very good with designing and being creative. She already has an online shop of her own. And we decided planning, and we just started, and it happened. We're like, we're going to do gift boxes for any to be, a groomsman, a bride, a bridesmaid, a mommy. We want to do for grandparents, we want to do for students, entrepreneurs. So now we're building it out, thinking of all these options.
What about the capital that one needs? Because you now need to, do you have to buy in all the products, or do you source as you go?
Yeah, that's always a good thing. Yeah, it's a good question to ask. So we all asked each other, how much capital do you have to invest in this, us 3 partners? And we all had a little money saved up, and we were willing to do that. We were willing to take the risk. So we all put the same amount in. And with that, we looked at different brands that we could, get to put in the box, and we sourced from overseas to locally. We decided to keep it local. We decided this is the money we have. This is the amounts that we can order for now to start with. And that's what we did.
Sure. So you really, you put your money where your mouth is.
We have to. It is scary, but
it is scary.
We have to do it. So, but we did test the market. We could see there was a gap for it. So we thought that there's no way this can't work if we do it right. And at the moment, we're 2 weeks old, and it looks like it's working. We're very excited.
And it might be too early to ask, but plans, dreams?
Sure. I have so many dreams and so many plans. And I have my vision board every year. I truly believe in a vision board. I do a lot of pictures of what I want in my life this year, what I want to attract.
On a screen or physically?
I actually have it saved as my screensaver on my iPhone, because every time you touch your phone, you look at your phone a day. I mean, you can work out how many times that is. Then I see all those pictures. So it's just that split second, the images go to my mind, and you have it there. So subconsciously, you keep yourself accountable for it, but also you attract it. But I also have it physically made in my room where I get dressed, next to the wall, on the wall. So all these pictures and stuff. So when I get dressed, I just look at it, and then I dream as if I'm already there, seeing myself in that position. So obviously I have a lot of aspirations for my businesses, but also in my acting career, especially now, I've started to do a lot of international auditions. I really want to try and do international work. And it's amazing because Netflix has been coming here, and I recently did an international movie that I'm not allowed to say anything about last year, but people will know when that's out. So it's starting, they're starting to give us amazing opportunities in SA where they come to film here. And I'm excited for that. So that's something that's been on my vision board for literally 10 years. So I can't wait for it to come to pass. I just have to keep on praying and working.
Leandie,
Yeah.
and then on the personal side, I want to talk about family first. You referred to your mum.
Yes.
That was rough. She died of Alzheimer's at the age of only 58.
Yeah,
I mean,
very
how did
young.
that affect you?
That was actually, that was in 2014. It was the year I got Binnenland is the year I did Strictly Come Dancing. So it was lots of highs and then this low. But prior to that, she was sick for 6 years. So she got diagnosed in 2007 when I was literally a first year student.
Sure.
And my mom was an amazing, dynamic, capable woman. She was literally like, I think that's where I got my drive from. She always had like 4 jobs. She took us to ballet, to athletics. She told me every day how pretty I am, how beautiful I am, how confident I am. She made me believe that I can do anything. Like literally, she made me so confident. Yeah. What a gift. So I always say I'm so grateful that I had a mom for 18 years when she was healthy, that instilled all these characteristics in me and loved me with everything that she had. But then when she got diagnosed, obviously it was a huge shock to us. And to see someone that's so clever and dynamic and driven lose their sense of identity as one with Alzheimer's does, it was hard to see her becoming this person that we don't know. So that was really, in terms of character building, that was the biggest thing I've had to go through in my life. And it really brought our family closer, me, my brother, and my father, and my grandma. Her mother still lives. She's 94. My grandmother, she still phones us. She still walks. She's so healthy. And we're just like, how did this happen? Yes. But then we have this theory, because it's not in her family. No one in the family has died of Alzheimer's, because they usually say it's hereditary. But a lot of the cases, it's not. It's just something might have happened to the brain. And in my mom's case, we spoke to a lot of doctors, but they said we must come up with a theory that suits us, because we need that as foreclosure. But what they could see is when they traced back her history, when she gave birth to my brother, she went into a coma after the cesarean, and they took my brother out. She literally went into a coma where she couldn't speak, nothing. And she was out for 24 hours. And then she only came back. And in the 24 hours, the doctor said, we don't know if Almarie is going to make it. So you must prepare yourself. I told my father that when she wakes up, she's not going to know who she is, because a part of her brain is not getting oxygen now. So she came back and she was fine. They did tests, MRIs, everything was fine. But then what they couldn't trace at that time, because it wasn't visible yet, was the part of the brain that didn't get oxygen was by the hippocampus. And that's where dementia starts. And that's with your short-term memory. So over a course of 27 years, that part that didn't get oxygen, the neurons started killing each other. And that's exactly how dementia basically forms. It's like neurological suicide.
But how did you say that this was the hardest thing you had to go through? How did it affect you? How did it change you, do you think?
For one, I felt very guilty, because as a teenager, I didn't have a good relationship with my mom. As a little girl, I did, because it's a princess mother thing, But then when you started getting identity in teenage, you have all these fights with your mom. And then when I eventually became an adolescent in first year, and I realized, I was such a ungrateful teenager, I wanted to start making it right, she started getting ill. So when I wanted to start that conversation with becoming her friend, she couldn't connect, because her rationality was going down, who she was going, she was losing it. So I felt very guilty of not being able to ever really say, I did apologize so many times when I saw her in those 6 years, but you never know if she heard it or if she understood. So that's something I had to forgive myself for.
Is that important in one's life journey, to forgive yourself?
Especially now I see with Squinmom, with all these people I have to retrench. And I built dreams in their hearts that I wanted to make them a part of the company, and I couldn't at this stage. To forgive yourself and say that I'm not a failure. I didn't do this in a malicious way. It wasn't my intention to hurt. I'm sorry, I didn't know better.
And if one doesn't do that,
I think you're going to start, your body's going to start feeling. That's why I'm sick. Literally, the body speaks the mind. Your emotions, if you don't deal with it, that's where resentment sits in your gut. It sits in your stomach. And a lot of people have theories that's where cancer starts, where Alzheimer's starts, where all these things is feelings that you're not dealing with, people you're not forgiving, stuff you're not getting rid of. That's why in my talks I always tell people, if there's something bothering you, if I'm saying this now and you're thinking about this thing that happens or that you are carrying with you, you have to let it go. You have to deal with
it.
It's going to eat you up from the inside. And
Yeah.
because God forgives you so easily, you have to forgive yourself.
Yeah.
And we have to forgive other people.
So
Yeah.
the relationship that gives you the most joy, I think, your
Yes.
husband.
Yes.
How did that happen? Bosch, he's a singer.
Yes, he's a singer, comedian. He makes ads these days. He also has many hats. I think that's why our relationship works so nicely, because we both have very similar jobs in terms of we have many jobs. We don't see each other a lot, but when we see each other all the time. So,
but you said that you were friends first.
We were friends first, best friends first. I was dating that other guy that I was with when I was writing the book for 2 years, and literally in that 2 years, that's when I met Boa. We became friends while I was dating that guy.
And do you think that's a good foundation?
100%.
That's what makes it work?
100%. I think because, as you know, you've been married for 41 years. Bless you guys. It's amazing.
I was bragging.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, I want that. You're not always necessarily going to have that butterflies that you have in the honeymoon period. It's just normal. So when that goes away, what do you have? And I believe if you have a solid friendship, then it's okay if the butterflies are not there all the time, or it comes and goes, because there's something that's stable, and a friendship can be stable.
And what about the practical side of it? Because both of you are so busy and often away from home.
Yes.
So how do you keep the connection?
I always tell people, because they always ask this, that I believe it's not distance that kills a relationship, it's silence. Because you can literally see your husband or the person that you're with every single night, and you sit next to each other, but you don't talk. You don't talk about emotions. You don't talk about what you experienced. You don't really talk about what you've been going through or what you actually want to say. That relationship can literally die, even though you see each other every day. So we make sure that we WhatsApp like 80 times a day. Yeah. We always know what's happening. Okay, Liefjek's now Chloe, I'm going to this now. This is what happened now. I'm going there. So we know what's happening in each other's lives all the time. We FaceTime, so we see each other.
Does that also help?
Yes.
With temptation? You're both young, you're both attractive, you're around people who might be interested.
Yeah, surely I think it does. I think also temptation comes in when you don't feel respected, or if you don't feel like you're being seen in a relationship. And then when someone comes across your path that sees you, or has got time for you and listen to you, then the temptation comes in, because you feel valued by that person. So as long as you feel valued in a relationship and you feel that I see you.
And practical circumstances, where do you choose to live, and how do you choose to create your space?
Sure, that's a good question. No one has ever asked me that. We choose to live in Johannesburg. We live in Randburg. My husband calls it the Randburg Strand. We have a beautiful view of Northcliffe and all the trees. Joburg is so beautiful with all the trees. This is like the biggest man-made forest in the world. I mean, it's beautiful. So it's close to literally all the agencies. It's close to where all the auditions get made. It's close to an airport, so we can quickly fly to Cape Town if we have to also. And it's as silly as it is, but Joburg's very cosmopolitan. And we like not living somewhere where it's just Afrikaans, or it's just this. We like the different cultures. We like that it's mixed with English, with Afrikaans, with all the, everything is mixed into one. So we enjoy that. That's why we want to stay. We love the hustle and bustle and the busyness.
And the house that you're in, or the whatever it is.
It's an apartment.
Why did you choose it? For the light, for the space, for the newness, or the oldness?
Yes. The view. So it's so beautiful. My father was scouting with me. It was like a year before we got married. Bo couldn't make it. So me and my father went out and we looked at all the houses in the area we wanted to stay. And as we were driving to this complex, we already saw it on a hill. And my dad was like, oh, you must go live there. And as we were driving to the address, it was actually the complex we were on our way. And it's in an older area, so it wasn't that expensive. It was more affordable, but it had this view and space. So when we walked into the house, we saw this view. I looked at my dad and I said, this is our place. And it's small. I mean, it's 100 square meters, but we have our stoop. We don't have a garden we have to take care of, because we can't take care of gardens or animals or anything. We're away so often. It's lock up and go. We have this little stoop. We can braai. We have our view, and we have our 3 rooms, and we have our living area. And that's all we need,
And what does it mean to you to come back there? Is it just a base to plan the next thing, or is it a real homing?
It's that I get this feeling. When I walk into our house, I get, now I can be. I can just be. I can have my bola on my kop with my pajama shirt, bare feet, no makeup. I can just be. I can lie the whole day on the couch look at the view, watch Netflix and chill and just be.
Yeah.
So we really have, and it's also a creative place for us. My husband's got a little studio where he also got the view where he writes his music. And yeah, it's like, I think Robin Sharma calls it a Menlo Park. It's a place where you are being filled with a lot of creative vibes, you know, and that's where we feel we can truly just be and we get inspired.
Thank you so much for your time in a very, very busy life. And we
Thanks.
will be looking out for what's next.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity.
And good luck with
it's
the
honoured.
process that you're going through with your workers.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. I appreciate it, Ruda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go well. As always, there will be a next one and a next one, and you must keep tuning in. Cheers.